Welcome. I am Andrea Hobley, President of the League of Women Voters of the Woodbury Cottage Grove area. For more than 100 years, the League of Women Voters has been a trusted source for nonpartisan information for voters, a long-standing witness to Minnesota's proud tradition of voter access and election integrity. The mission of the League, national, state, and local, is to empower voters and defend democracy. The League works to encourage informed and active participation of citizens in government. We envision a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate. The League strengthens our communities by conducting candidate forums for voters to learn about who's on their ballot, promoting voter registration and sharing voter information, working to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influencing public policy through education and advocacy. We invite you to visit our state league's website, lwvmn.org, to learn about the statutes, best practices, and safeguards associated with Minnesota elections. Follow the link to Vote 411 for a one-stop shop for all your election needs personalized to you, including a voter's guide. We hope all of our candidates here tonight have submitted their information to the voter's guide. For those of you in the audience who live in South Washington County School District, please also check out the replay of our candidate forum for school board, which was held last night. And now I'll turn it over to Liz Nordling, who is moderating today.
Hello and welcome to this candidate forum for Senate District 47. I'm Liz Nordling, a member of the League of Women Voters, and I do not live in District 47. I am a League-trained moderator. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan volunteer organization which encourages citizens to participate in government. Our mission is to support voter education and voters' rights. Though the League studies and takes positions on issues, we do not support or oppose any candidate or political party. The views expressed in each forum are those of the candidates, not those of the League of Women Voters. Our goal is to encourage citizens to learn more about the positions of the candidates who will be on your ballot on November 4th. The two candidates who are running are Dwight Durow and Amanda Hemmingson-Yeager. Our timekeeper will show warning signs of 30 seconds and 15 seconds and then a stop sign. At that time, you can finish your sentence, but don't go on, please. To begin, each candidate will introduce themselves by name and make an opening statement of up to 1 minute. For the opening statement, candidates will begin in alphabetical order, and thereafter the order of speaking will be rotated. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question, and candidates, you don't have to use the full time. You can say what you have to say and be done, which will allow time for more questions. Candidates will also have a 30-second rebuttal time allotted to each question. When questions are finished, candidates will have 1 minute for their closing statement, and that will be in reverse alphabetical order. Questions were received in advance from the public and reviewed by a committee of League members. We do not use questions that are unclear, hostile, or of a personal nature. We may consolidate questions that fall in the same general topic area. All questions submitted are the property of the League of Women Voters. Viewers can send in questions during the live broadcast by calling or texting the phone number that will be displayed on the screen throughout the broadcast. This forum is being recorded and live streamed on the government channel 18, which is Comcast HD 859, and on the True Lens YouTube channel. The complete, unedited recording will be posted on our League's website and on True Lens YouTube channel, and will be replayed on the local government channel. Editing is authorized only for official media reporting. Excerpts or edited clips of this forum may not be used for partisan or political purposes. We will now begin with opening statements, and we will start with Dwight Durow.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome tonight. Thank you all for coming out here. Thank you especially to Liz and the League of Women Voters. We really appreciate you all doing all these events. They're just incredible and they mean so much. Right up front, I would like to say if you're interested in voting for me, my website is votefordwight.com. That's vote, F-O-R, Dwight.com, and you can learn more about me there. We're going to get into a lot of specifics tonight probably, but in general, I would like to say that I'm running to restore some things to Woodbury. I'm running to restore integrity, transparency, and representation to the Senate seat. And I want to do bipartisanship like we used to do in Woodbury. I can think of Democrats like Kathy Salzman or Republicans like Mary Giuliani Stevens who would set aside their partisanship to come together to work for the good of Woodbury and Maplewood. Thank you.
Thank you. Now with her opening statement is Amanda Hemmingson Yeager.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Amanda Hemmingson Yeager, and I am the current House Representative for the 47A side of this district. I'm running to continue my leadership in the House, but moving it into the Senate. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this and for Liz Nordling for moderating and everyone watching online. I've been honored to represent the communities of South Maplewood and Woodbury for about 3 sessions now. I'm proud to say that the A-side border has never ended at Radio or Woodbury Drive, and the relationships I've formed across Maplewood and Woodbury, Ramsey, and Washington counties make me well-equipped to serve in the capacity as a senator. I look forward to continuing to use my education in the sciences and policy, my legislative experience, and stories shared by people in the community to continue to advocate for SD 47.
Thank you. We'll move on to our first question. It goes to you first, Amanda. What experience do you bring to this seat?
Great question to lead off with, thank you. Like I just stated, I've been the sitting current House representative now for about 3 years. And that has been a really meaningful part of doing this job. It has allowed me to dig deep into community issues. It has allowed me to be a resource and an advocate and to lift the voices of South Maplewood and Woodbury to the Capitol. I've been really proud to author bipartisan legislation. I've also been really proud to carry constituent legislation. I also bring a unique lens in that my background is actually in genetics. So I bring a scientific approach, a thoughtful approach, and this allows me to really think about the downstream consequences of the policies as well as make it comprehensive and robust. So I look forward to continuing to do that in this capacity as a senator and look forward to learning more from the people of South Maplewood and Woodbury.
Thank you. The question now goes to Dwight.
Yes, thank you. So I think the biggest thing that I bring to the table for this position is just my role as a leader. I've been a colonel in the United States Air Force, so I've led different squadrons and a group throughout my Air Force career. I'm currently an inner city school teacher in Johnson High School in inner city St. Paul. So working with really the widest variety of people leads me to believe that I could easily jump into the Senate position and do very well. Working with others, working in a bipartisanship fashion, that's very important to me because over the past few years, we have seen so much partisanship here in Minnesota, and I really want to break that mold. I want to return us to how Woodbury used to be. Those of you who may remember 10 years ago what it was like. And I think we can get there, and I pledge to help us get there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Dwight.
Okay.
We're going to talk about finance.
Okay.
The state is projected to face a nearly $6 billion deficit in the 2028-2029 biennium. What is your preferred way to balance the budget in this time of a shortfall?
Well, I think most people think that there's 2 ways to do it. One of them is to maybe increase the taxes. Another one is to reduce spending. And sure, there's some avenues for that, and I would actually like to get to some of those specifics later on. But to me, the very best way to improve the business climate in Minnesota is to reduce our business taxes and put us on par with Wisconsin. Right now, we are 20% higher than Wisconsin, and we are the highest in the nation. Minnesota, good old Minnesota, highest in business taxes. And I just think, after talking with many small business owners, that if we can reduce the taxes, it will help with hiring new people and expanding the business, and thereby the best way to do it is to grow the economy. So, Liz, that's the answer.
Thank you. The question now goes to Amanda.
Thank you. So just like all of my approaches when I think about policy, when I think about questions like these, I always want to be thoughtful of the people that are impacted. And when we talk about the economy, we need to really be thinking about the middle class. The middle class and the working families are the ones that drive our economy. We send our kids to school, we do the grocery shopping, and I really need to make we really need to make sure that we are being thoughtful in our approach and really protecting our middle class. As far as the $6 billion deficit goes, I would just like to point out that given the unique circumstances of the 23 and 24 session, we were actually able to put away $3.5 billion into our rainy day fund. Due to our actions last session, we were able to cut that deficit approximately in half. And I have been fortunate enough to see the forecasting, and we're actually taking in more revenues each month than what was in the February forecast. So I believe, again, with a thoughtful and comprehensive approach, we can continue to address these challenges.
Thank you. Additional comments? Yes, Dwight.
Yes, I would like to just point out that my opponent was in the House of Representatives when they voted for the $6 billion deficit, the 40% increase of the budget in 1 year, $10 billion increase, the gasoline tax increase. So, and then not to mention the surplus of $18 billion was spent. So helping the middle class, I have great ideas for that. I don't have time to get to them now, but certainly when you do things like have happened these past few years, that doesn't register with the people.
Thank you. Amanda, additional comments?
Yes, please, thank you. So I would like to reiterate that the one-time spending, the $18 billion, was one time. It was about $9 billion in surplus at the end of 2022, but because of inaction by the Republican-led Senate, that actually, they didn't spend it. And that ballooned into $12 million of one-time funding and then $5 billion of ongoing funding. That funding was spent on neglected needs for over 10 years, our education system and the needs of our most vulnerable Minnesotans and our Minnesotans across the state. So again, we need to make sure that we are thinking about the people when we are looking at these dollars.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Amanda. With the reduced federal funding with the appropriations bill HR 1, there will be many unfunded federal and state mandates at the county level. How can the legislature ensure that property owners are not fully covering the resulting deficit?
Great question. This is where relationships are really important. I have great relationships with county commissioners on the Ramsey County side, as well as our commissioners on the Washington County side. I've also been fortunate in this position to be getting regular briefings with the Department of Human Services because they're the ones that are really digging in to how these cut in services are going to impact our Minnesotans. We need to be thoughtful, again, because what we don't do in state funding, that often falls onto the counties or to our school districts, and the only way they can raise money is through property taxes. We've done a lot of work to address property taxes in past sessions. We know with this new environment that we need to do more, and again, we need to be keeping the values of Minnesotans at the forefront, and we need to make sure that we're supporting our counties and that we are all arm in arm going in this together through with our municipalities as well through local government aid. We have our county aid, and just make sure, again, we are being thoughtful and being ready for what's going to be coming down the pipe.
Thank you. The question goes to Dwight now.
Yes, I think if these cuts do materialize, I think what we need to do is evaluate which programs might need to take some reductions. However, Minnesota does a very good job, I feel, including the counties, of identifying the right people for the right programs. And as an example, I have a grown adult son who is on medical assistance, and you know, Minnesota requires that you go through an annual update, make sure that you are eligible, and if you're not, if you have some other circumstances that don't count, Minnesota does a very good job of taking you off the rolls. Now, because of that, we do a great job at our county levels with regard to this. So federal cuts that affect our counties, we're going to have to deal with that with interactions between the legislature and the counties themselves. So no easy solutions, but we have to work through it.
Thank you. Additional comments? Let's move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Dwight. It's on guns and safety.
Okay.
Gun violence is in the minds of Minnesotans, especially this year. What legislation, if any, would you support to meet the needs for safe communities?
Safe communities is sort of an expansion on just the guns. So I'm going to focus on the guns themselves and what we can do. In my opinion, I am a firearm owner. I've had many throughout my life. And I feel that the instant background check that the federal government does is very, very effective. But if you go one step deeper, the step before that, it's very hard to identify people with mental health problems. That's the crux of the issue right there. We can look at the Annunciation shooter. We can look at the Charlie Kirk shooter. We can look at the Hortmans, the shooter there. All of them have one thing in common, and that is very misguided and incredibly hard, not even incredibly hard to spot mental health problems. So we need to nip it in the bud. That's the place to do it.
Thank you. Question goes to Amanda.
Thank you. This is a question that has really rocked a lot of people in the community. I was a friend of Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman. Her loss is continues to be felt. Senator Hoffman and his wife and daughter, they continue to recover, but, we're all victims of gun violence, and that's not okay. The Annunciation shooting, it needs to stop. We need to be able to send our kids to school safely. Yes, we need to address mental health. As the Democrats, we have put funding into mental health, and we come up along barriers when we talk about it on the Health Committee and the Human Services Committee. I have signed on for bills for safe storage. My dad was a hunter. Those guns were unloaded, separated, in a safe, in a locked closet where us kids didn't even know where it was. That is being a responsible gun owner, is making sure you're being responsible with these weapons. We've also talked about banning assault rifles and high-capacity magazines. These are issues that the community is coming to me with, and I need to stand up for my community, and we need to protect our kids and our loved ones.
Additional comments, anyone? No. Then we'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Amanda. It's on elections. As a member of the legislature, which measures, if any, would you support to reinforce or ensure voter confidence in our elections?
Great question. From what I have seen, we actually have really great voter confidence. We are routinely 1 and 2 in the country for voter turnout. People don't turn out to vote if they don't feel that their votes count. We've also taken some measures to make sure that every vote counts, and one of those is restore the vote. If you have served your time and you are ready to go back to society, you should be a full part of society and have that right to vote. We've also passed automatic voter registration. So when you're 16 and you get your license, you can be automatically registered to vote. It's like a pre-registration. So then when you're 18, you are ready to go and ready to participate as a voting member. We need to continue to strengthen our campaign finance board to make sure that they are ensuring the candidates running for election are on the up and up and following all the rules. And we need to make sure that our Secretary of State is also getting the resources that office needs to ensure the highest integrity and program integrity and confidence in our voter laws.
Thank you. The question goes to Dwight.
Was the question, Liz, how to bolster our election laws?
How to reinforce or ensure voter confidence in our elections. What would you do to support that?
Okay, I would say Minnesota does a great job of that. I know many election judges and various people who volunteer to help out during elections. They all assure me that we're good to go, so let's not waste any time. Let's move to the next topic.
Okay. Additional comments, Amanda?
No, thank you.
Then we'll move on to the next, and it's to you, Dwight. Okay. What is your position on mail-in ballots and voting machines?
Okay, so mail-in ballots, I've done that my whole life in the military, right? So if in Minnesota, I voted in Minnesota for 27 years by mail-in ballot, and I have full faith and confidence that they were always counted. I think if you have a very valid need to use a mail-in ballot, we should definitely keep using them. However, I'm kind of old school. I like that early voting begins tomorrow, for example, and it runs for 45 days. And to me, there's very few people that can't be in the area, and I would highly encourage you just to get out and vote. Right here in Woodbury, we get to see the new DMV, which I'm excited to see. I have not been there yet. But I think Minnesota does it very well. They have the 3 blocks, the social security number, they have the last, ID number or the driver's license number. So you can always cross-check that. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda?
Thank you. I think both of these mail-in ballots and voting machines are integral parts of making us feel confident in our voting system and our elections. Voting machines have been shown to be accurate, efficient, and safe, and it makes sure that every single vote is counted. Mail-in ballots are incredibly important because there are many places in outstate Minnesota where people cannot get to a polling place. These mail-in ballots are the only way that they can make their voice heard and get representation at the state, county, city, and federal level. And I also want to think about our neighbors that have difficulty reaching the polls. The ability to have a mail-in ballot, whether it's anxiety because they don't want to be in a booth filling out a ballot, or maybe it's just a comfort from their own home. They can research their candidates as they're going, or they have disability or mobility concerns. The ability to have a mail-in ballot, I think, makes sure that everybody who wants to participate can participate.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Nope. We'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Amanda. Do you support full disclosure of political contributions, including PACs, which are political action committees? Why or why not? What changes, if any, in campaign financing laws would you support?
Great. Yes, I do believe in full disclosure. Right now, the Campaign Finance Board does a really great job of making sure that all of our donations are tracked with a campaign finance recorder, which is a nice online system to make it easier for our treasurers. And we do have to disclose currently our PACs. I also love the fact that campaign finance does not allow corporate donations. We have some of the strongest campaign finance laws in the country, and I am so proud of that because what matters, again, is the people. We have a great political contribution refund program where if you donate $75 to a party, an organizing unit, or a candidate of your choice, you can actually get that refunded. And that, to me, tells me that people are driving these elections and we're not relying on corporate or PAC or lobbying money and being in those pockets. So I would love to strengthen those campaign finance laws or strengthen the ability for the board and the staff to continue to do the great job that they do for us in Minnesota.
Thank you. The question goes to Dwight.
I fully support them. What was the question? Did I get the answer correct there?
It's, what is your position on mail-in ballots and voting machines? No.
Oh, no.
Whoops, that was the old one. Do you support full disclosure of political contributions, including PACs? Why or why not?
Okay, that's
And,
it.
and
Oh.
what changes, if any, in campaign financing laws would you support?
Okay, sorry, I didn't get the whole question. Yes, I fully support them, and the reason why is because I think they're doing a great job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any additional comments?
No, thank you.
All right, we'll move on. Dwight, you get, the next question is on education.
Okay.
What would be the legislature's role, if any, in determining school curriculum and what is taught in classrooms throughout the state?
Wow, this is such a important question. So I am a public school teacher. This affects me directly. And the most important thing our schools need right now is reading and math improvement. Roughly 50% of Minnesota students at every grade level cannot read at that grade level right now. Despite that, we have very high graduation rates, so usually in the 90%. I'm also from a public school background, high school, college. I've gone through all of those areas, and I can tell you it's our greatest legacy is our public schools in Minnesota. So I think we need to focus more on reading and math, and we really need to do it soon, because if you can't read when you graduate, it's hard to fill out even a job application. So it's very important to me that we focus on those two areas and move on from there because it's on a downward trend. Thank you.
Thank you. The question now goes to Amanda.
Thank you. When it comes to the legislature kind of having a role in determining school curriculum, I do think that as we fund public school systems across Minnesota, we do need to make sure that there is some basal consistent standards across all of Minnesota so that our youngest learners are getting good, high-quality education no matter their income and no matter their zip code. I also feel that we should follow the lead of teachers. These are professionals that have gone through school to be teachers. They know the kids, they know the parents, they know the curriculum, and they know how to teach. So by funding and making sure our schools are fully funded, by supporting our teachers, by supporting our paraprofessionals, and creating a nurturing, safe environment for our schools, I think that is how the legislature can best support our school systems and then in turn help with the school curriculum.
Thank you. Any additional comments?
No.
Then we'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Amanda. What will you do to ensure that funding of our public schools adequately keeps up with inflation and population growth?
Great question, and I love how specific that is. I'm actually really proud. One of my first bills I signed on to, my first session, was ensuring that the education funding was tied to inflation. Prior to that bill being passed, if inflation went up, school districts had to come back to the legislature year after year just to to ask for money, just to keep up with the cost of inflation. Now, the law says that the funding formula must follow inflation, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Schools can come to the legislature to get the funds that they need to help their schools and not just to catch up with inflation. And again, we need to continue funding our school systems. We're not doing enough. I mentioned that we had neglected our school funding for 10 years. We were able to do a lot of that with special education cross-subsidy, English learner cross-subsidy, but it's not enough. Our schools are still hurting. We still need to do more, and the way we can do that is by funding the school system.
Thank you. Question goes to Dwight.
Yes, so when we talk about funding the schools, what you're normally talking mostly about is the local independent school districts, which I would argue are not quite so independent anymore based upon the last session of government here with Amanda involved at the House, where they voted for 65 different education mandates, and many of them are actually unfunded. So the local areas have to raise taxes on local property taxes. And also those mandates didn't really affect English learning or mathematical, improvement. So we have a dearth of money. I think South Washington Schools is sitting at about a $2.2 million deficit right now. The last I heard, I hope they can make that up. But what we need to do is change the focus to help our students succeed and get rid of any mandates from the state that are not funded. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments?
Just a brief one. I just want to clarify that the 65 mandates is an inaccurate number. Many of these mandates were, things impacting schools, but some of them were just allowing kids to wear tribal regalia to graduation. So things that they were always focused on the students and to make sure that the students could feel comfortable being who they are and succeeding in school.
Thank you. Additional comment?
Yeah, I would just say that there are unfunded mandates to date, which the House and the Senate and the governor have not addressed. There are many that are very inconsequential, I agree, but there are many that should be consequential that are not included. English and math, primary among them.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the next question.
Okay.
And it goes to you first, Dwight. The Great Lakes region faces the prospect of water shortage, groundwater conflicts, and contaminated aquifers as demand sharply increases from large water users such as data centers, agriculture, and critical minerals mining. What should the Minnesota Legislature do to manage the competing water demands to ensure adequate clean water for all Minnesotans now and in the future?
That's a very specific question for northern Minnesota, but I'm going to change the focus a little bit to here at Woodbury. We know that we have the PFAS problem here, We have dirty water. We didn't ask for it, and the city is working on it. And our Woodbury City Council and the mayor have been asking for a sales tax exemption, which I would fully support and which hasn't happened in the last few years. We also need some bonding money for the Lake Park development area, which I would also fully support. That's another $2 million. So the 3M settlement is not going to be nearly enough money for clean water here in Woodbury. We have a lot of extra items that we have to add, a new water tower, additional piping that's not covered, and we really need to get a good tax break. As for the Lake Superior watershed, nobody has talked to me at the doors about this, but I'll look into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Question now goes to Amanda.
Thank you. So water connects all of us. We are the land of 10,000 lakes, and water is life, and it connects all of us. I was really honored to be the co-chair of the subcommittee on Minnesota water policy, where we dug deep into water issues that impacted southeast Minnesota with nitrates, that impacted the sand plains also with nitrates, and that even affected the Red River Valley because of flooding. And not once did I think about, well, this doesn't concern me because it's not Woodbury. We all have our concerns. We're finding PFAS not only in the East Metro, but I have a colleague who found it's now in Apple Valley. So we know that PFAS is spreading. It's because water connects us all. And when it comes to competing priorities like data centers and mining, I think we need to make sure that we have healthy, accessible, clean water for our citizens. I'm hearing some scary things about data centers where they're not even actually going to be used for anything yet. They're just building them in hopes that they will come. And we need to make sure that we are taking care of our water for our people and keeping it healthy.
Thank you. Additional comments? Yes, Dwight.
Yes, I would like to say I'm not only interested in Woodbury's water, but I noticed that my opponent did not mention the Lake Superior watershed also, but a different location. So we all want great clean water. It's my top priority on my website. I'm focusing here on Woodbury because we have been underrepresented these past few years. We've not had a senator sitting on a committee, and our House members have not helped us with bonding for water projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments?
Yeah, thank you. So speaking of the Lake Superior watershed, I've also been keen on that too because they are very concerned about mining. And we need to make sure, again, that we're having good scientific properties before we're polluting our watersheds up in northeastern Minnesota. And as far as the bonding requests go, I have been so honored to help carry those. I have great relationships, not only with the House Capital Investment Chair, but I'm forming a really close relationship with the Senate Capital Investment Chair. And it's really my honor to forward these requests for tours, to co-author these bills, and to really advocate for them at the House as much as I can across chamber lines.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. And it goes to you first, Amanda. What legislation, if any, would you support to address climate change and its effects in Minnesota?
Climate change is a topic that really concerns all of us in South Maplewood and Woodbury. My first session, I was really proud to co-author and then help pass our 100% carbon-free electricity by 2040 Act. And we continue to do what we need to do, like permitting reform and ways to make sure that that law becomes implemented. Locally, I've been really proud to author a bill that prohibits your HOA from denying solar panels on your rooftops. People need to be able to take part in addressing climate change, and anything we can do to reduce those barriers, I fully support.
Thank you. Question goes to Dwight.
Yes, so the 2040 carbon neutral bill that was passed is a wonderful idea, and I think we should all pursue on towards carbon-free energy. Solar's great, wind's great. Too bad we don't have more mountains. Hydro would be really great in Minnesota. But the problem is people have not come up with a way to get there. And so if you go to votefordwight.com, one of my primary ways that we can get carbon neutral energy is to double our nuclear output. Right now we have 3 nuclear reactors at our 2 plants, and it's not a big deal in the sense of building new reactors and also at the same time upgrading our existing ones. Our our technology right now is 1970s, so we can really get a lot more bang for our buck if we upgrade our nuclear plants. And I think that is the one sure way that we can get there. Solar and wind alone cannot cover for the loss of coal here in Minnesota.
Thank you. Additional comments? We'll move on to the next question. It's on healthcare. Goes to you first, Dwight.
Okay.
In the wake of overturning of Roe versus Wade, many state legislatures are enacting new laws regarding women's reproductive health issues. What measures, if any, do you think the Minnesota Legislature should enact regarding women's reproductive health?
That's a really good question because the legislature really can't do anything. Right now, the right to have an abortion is literally in the Constitution. It would take voters to overturn that. But I think most Minnesotans on this issue are fairly close together. We have the labels on both sides. I'd like to maybe introduce a new label, and I would like to say I'm kind of what I would call I'm pro-choices, meaning I'm pro-family and I'm pro-women, and I want to help out with more programs. Here in Woodbury, there's great opportunities for adoption. And I think we need to expand our education on this, and I would be willing to spend money for more services like this. Thank you.
Question goes to Amanda.
So as a mom, as a woman, and as someone who's a part of the Reproductive Freedom Caucus in the House, this is a fundamental, vital part of healthcare. A woman knows her body best, and she should be able to make those decisions in the privacy with her and her provider without a politician like me sitting in there and telling women what to do. I was really proud to sign on to the PRO Act, House File 1 in 2023, to codify that right into state law. Unfortunately, it's not a part of the Constitution yet because we haven't put it before the state of Minnesota to vote on. Some other things we could be looking at is to maintain our access to mailable birth control. The FDA is coming down on our methods of birth control, and we need to make sure that we're ready for that. And at the end of the day, healthcare needs to be safe and accessible so that we can have our full options of reproductive healthcare available.
Thank you. Additional comments?
Well, thank you.
We'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Amanda. 92 nursing homes closed in Minnesota between 2005 and 2024 due to staffing shortages and underpayment, resulting in a 33% fewer nursing home beds. What can the legislature do to support our nursing homes as the need for them increases with the silver tsunami of aging baby boomers?
Great question. And this is a conversation that has a lot of discussion at the legislature. I try to keep as close ties as I can. I serve on health, children, families, and the co-vice chair of Veterans and Military Affairs, and I serve as an alternate on the ethics committee. So I'm trying to make sure that I do what I can for those committees, but also keep an ear on the committees I'm not a part of, and Human Services is one of those committees. I know it's a very challenging environment. The rates for reimbursement have not kept up. And that is a combination of state and federal funding. I also know, and what is concerning to me, is some of these nursing homes are bought by private equity firms. We should not be having profit-driven healthcare at all in our system. And the fact that this is happening to our aging seniors and our elders is very concerning to me. So I would like to look into that to make sure we're getting nonprofit-driven healthcare, accessible healthcare, and that we're meeting the needs of Minnesotans.
Thank you. The question now goes to Dwight.
Yes, this is a really good question. My mom passed away a couple of years, and she was in the nursing home for the final 6 months of her life. And just 2 points. The first one is she was in a private facility up in Hinckley, Minnesota. And I don't think the government does everything better than the private sector. You can get a lot more competition. I think her rates were down, for those of you who know, some of the rates can be as high as $10,000 a month for a nursing home. And in my mom's case, it was considerably lower as a private institution. And then secondly, I think, these funding cuts that are coming about, we need to pay particular attention to our seniors. We are aging, all of us in this room and at home, but we do have the silver generation coming, and we need to stay in touch with our constituents to come together and find out the proper solutions to grow this in the future, because we're really going to need it. Thank you.
Additional comments?
No, thank you.
Then we'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Dwight. What can the legislature do to improve and enhance resources for mental health?
Oh, that's so many things, right? And that is such a broad question. I almost wish it was more narrow so I could focus on one area. But we talked about, let me just put it in terms of something I can relate to, high school, right? So at the public schools, students are having a very difficult time. The instances of mental health are through the roof compared to just 10 years ago. And something that we're trying at the local level, and I know the state has actually mandated certain items with regard to this, but it's the cell phone usage, right? It's putting those phones away, getting away from social media, which a lot of children, and dare I say some adults, might be having a tough time getting away from. And that seems to really be one factor in helping, and I would like to pursue others. What a broad question. I hope we can come back to this type of thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Question goes to Amanda.
Thank you for this question. So there are many ways I think we can address mental health, and I think it is going to take a comprehensive, multi-pronged approach. One thing that we've seen success in is our school-based mental health services, making sure that our schools have the guidance counselors, the social workers, the teachers, the adults that we need to help these kids through at the beginning stages of mental health, hopefully before they reach a mental health crisis. We can also make sure that we look at the rates, like are we paying these professionals what they need to be paid? Increasing social workers through educational opportunities, making caseloads manageable so people want to go into this field. And I think last but not least, I think we need to confront predatory practices of these social media companies.
Thank you. Additional comments?
Nope.
And we'll move on to the next question. It's on housing, and it goes to you first, Amanda. Housing, especially affordable housing, continues to be an issue. What is your assessment about the need for affordable housing in this district, and what exactly is meant by affordable housing in this district, and how should the legislature be involved in this issue?
So we know that Minnesota is experiencing a housing crisis. I think at one time, the stat was we're short 100,000 homes in Minnesota. And that is very concerning because having stable housing is linked to so many other healthier outcomes. It leads to better education outcomes. It leads to better health outcomes. It leads to the stability of having a job. So I think when we think of, and Woodbury has done a fantastic job really trying to make sure we have a mix of housing, the multifamily housing, single family homes. But I think what gets tricky is, like the person who asked the question alluded to, is the definition of affordable. Right now, so much of the definition of affordable is based on an area median income. So when affordable is because of you're in an affluent or wealthy area, and they say affordable according to this formula is $4,000 a month, I don't find that affordable. So I think we do need to look at the definition of how we define affordable. We did pass a local area sales tax across Minnesota to make sure that a percentage of sales tax goes towards affordable housing as well.
Thank you. The question goes to Dwight.
Yes. So the legislature, with regard to the housing, should probably just keep their hands off with regard to our local area. I've met with leaders in Woodbury, leaders in Maplewood, and they are very adroit at taking care of their own housing problems. The zoning here, I mean, last year the House was almost able to pass some zoning laws for our local area and other local areas. And I just think our city council, if you ever come to some city council meetings right here in this very room, they do such a good job at managing the mix of apartments and new homes and townhomes and whatnot. They do a great job, and I think the legislature should be hands-off as much as possible unless we see something really badly happening. And then also, the housing fraud that has just happened with the gentleman resigning yesterday, that's another issue that we have to look at really closely and protect the taxpayer money going to housing.
Thank you. Additional comments? We'll move on to the next question, and it goes to you first, Dwight. What do you see as the most severe racial and ethnic disparities in Minnesota? What can the legislature do to address these?
Well, I don't see a lot of them. I work in a school where we have a population that is 4% white and 96% minority. And I love these kids, and they're thriving. The biggest thing that they need is, as I said before, to read and to be able to do math so they can be productive when they get out. As far as the legislature, what they could do to make anything else be more equitable, I mean, we're in Minnesota. We're one of the greatest states in the nation for being equal and having freedoms for everybody, and we get along with everybody. I don't see any huge problems in this area at all, and I work in an area where, quite honestly, if there were these issues, I would see them on a daily basis. So I would say, Minnesotans, stay who you are. Let's keep treating everybody right. Let's love your neighbor as yourself, and let's keep on trucking on.
Thank you. The question now goes to Amanda.
Thanks. Minnesota is very proud of being a great place for families. We have a great education system, but I think the caveat is it's not great for everybody. We have data showing that some of the biggest racial and ethnic disparities are actually in education. So whatever we can do as a legislature to decrease those barriers, making sure that, again, looking at housing to make sure kids have a safe place to sleep at night so they can get to school, making sure there's transportation so kids can get to school, helping out, the single parents or the parents that are working 3 jobs, like services that we can do to help these kids learn in a great environment. And I think one way we can do that, again, is listening to the teachers, listening to the school staff to see what do we need to help these kids thrive. And again, we need to have a great education system no matter a kid's income or zip code.
Thank you. Additional comments? Yes, Dwight.
I'm a teacher, so you can listen to me.
Excellent.
That's the additional comment?
That's the additional comment. English and math. Let's go.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Amanda. A barrier to workforce participation is the availability and affordability of childcare. What, if any, is the legislature's role in addressing that issue?
Great question, and something we have really grappled with on the Children and Families Committee. I have 2 kids, and we had to get really creative with our childcare. I have a friend who was a forensic scientist, professional in her field. She actually spent more in daycare for her 3 sons. She actually left the field. And so many people have to come down to this, and unfortunately, it disproportionately falls onto women. They're leaving the workforce because having a job is, or paying for daycare is more expensive than the money that they're bringing in. So things we can do, we can make sure that we have high quality childcare for everybody. We can look at ways to fund these childcare workers better to, again, decrease these barriers to getting into the childcare field. There's a number that we're trying to reach where your childcare cost should not be more than 7% of your income. So we have a goal and we know what we kind of need to do. Now we just need to have the will to really dig in and do it.
Thank you. Question goes to Dwight.
Yes, I think stifling competition would be the wrong answer, so limiting the amount of income they can make, that's going to work itself out. If one provider does a better job, even if they offer a higher price or have a higher price, they're going to win out. I think a better way to do this is to focus on the people that the last legislative session has overlooked, the taxpayers. including low-income taxpayers. So I think something like a 20% decrease in our lowest tax bracket would really help out young families, and maybe a 10% or so tax break in the second category. Giving people more of their own disposable income is one of the best ways to overcome this. Not to mention, earlier I talked about the business tax cut, getting raises through small businesses. So I think the way out of this mess, as my opponent rightly called it, is to grow the economy and put more money in people's pockets.
Thank you. Any additional comments?
No, thank you.
The next question will go to you first, Dwight. And
Okay.
it's a question that just came in. What is your position on access to vaccines? And what will your policies be concerning vaccines and other public safety procedures?
I was in the military for 27 years. I venture to guess that I have had more vaccines than anybody in this room, maybe all of you put together. So access to vaccines, I think they're pretty prevalent right now. You can go to your healthcare provider and get them. If there's a problem with that, I guess I need to know it. Nobody at the doors has been telling me that this is an issue. But what was the second part of the question, Liz? I'm sorry.
Your policies be concerning vaccines and other public safety procedures?
Okay, I would say let's follow the advice of the FDA, the CDC. Let's follow the advice of the professional scientists and the people who prevent us from getting various different debilitating diseases.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Question goes to Amanda.
So as a geneticist and a mom, I think vaccines are critical. We have all but eradicated, these childhood diseases of the Oregon Trail days, like measles and mumps and rubella and smallpox, and we almost got rid of them completely until people stopped getting the vaccines. We're seeing measles outbreaks that we haven't seen before. We're seeing tuberculosis come back. And it's really frightening to me as a mom because I want to make sure that my kids, being around other kids and being out in the community, are safe from these debilitating diseases like polio or some of the deadly diseases that can be carried through viruses. As far as policies, Minnesota Department of Health is a fantastic, nation-leading Department of Health and public health entity in Minnesota and in the country. And I think we need to make sure that we are supporting the policies coming from the Minnesota Department of Public Health and making sure that we are also fully staffing MDH so they can respond when outbreaks happen or when there's a new virus on the landscape.
Thank you. Additional comments? Yes, Dwight.
Do you work at the Minnesota Department of Health?
I do not.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. Where do you work?
DHS.
Okay, got it. DHS, got it. Okay, thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to the next
That
question.
was a very specific question.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we'll go first to you, Amanda. Fraud is trying to read the handwriting. Fraud is a serious problem for Minnesotans. What can the legislature do to address this significant problem?
Yeah, so this is very concerning for everybody. We want to make sure that our hard-earned taxpayer dollars are going to serve the people it's intended to serve. It's not going towards bad actors who are exploiting these services and these vulnerable people for their own profit and their own gain. The legislature actually did a lot last session. I think one of the big things is passing an anti-kickback law. And kickbacks were illegal at the federal level, but they were not illegal in Minnesota. So now that we have an anti-kickback law in Minnesota, our Attorney General's office can prosecute those cases and make them as a criminal case right away. We've also done some things to make sure agencies are talking to each other. Due to privacy laws, outdated privacy laws, agencies weren't able to talk to each other about bad actors. We're now removing those barriers. We need to make sure that we address our outdated infrastructure and technology systems. We talked a lot about SSIS, which is from the 1980s, I think. It's a green screen. You can't copy paste. It's a nightmare for our county workers. And we're finally investing in that, but we know a lot more is going to need to be done. And we need to be thinking about that enterprise-wide, statewide, to make sure we are on the cutting edge and keeping our dollars safe.
Thank you. Question goes to Dwight.
Yeah, this fraud is out of control, and it's very sad because it really has a direct impact on two groups, on the people who absolutely need the money in the program that they're in, such as the autism schools, which is one that directly affects my family. And then the other people is the taxpayers who are virtually, giving up about $1 billion. Right now, it just crossed 600 million, but it's probably going to be $1 billion when it's all said and done. And it's just terrible for the taxpayers to see their hard-earned money go to waste like that. So I think something that the House could have done, I know a lot of people supported this, but it didn't get done, is a independent office of investigator or inspector general. Somebody who can be neutral, not political whatsoever, and can oversee investigations into these problem areas.
Thank you. Additional comments? I'm afraid it's time for our last question. You're probably relieved. And it goes first to you, Dwight.
Okay.
We often ask candidates how they will work with others who have viewpoints different than their own. In this time of political polarization and extreme rhetoric, what ideas do you have to bring down the temperature and get the work of the people done?
So all of you here and watching at home, you didn't see us before we began this forum tonight, but Amanda and I treat each other like adults, which is very nice. And I just think it starts with that. Just love your neighbor. And, at the beginning, I mentioned a Democrat and a Republican, Kathy Salzman and Mary Giuliani Stevens, who could sit down at a city council meeting or sit down with people of both sides and just really concentrate on the issues that you can agree on, which makes things much nicer when you talk about issues that you might not get to agreement on. Me personally, I have been in all kinds of different places in my life. I've been on 5 continents. I've been involved in numerous national and state level meetings and events with people of all different types and backgrounds. And I think that's a strength that I will bring to the Senate.
Thank you. Question goes to Amanda.
Thank you, and thank you for this question. When I approach my work, again, I'm a scientist, I approach it as, let's solve a problem. Let's talk about our values, let's bring the conversation back to a values viewpoint, and let's look at the policy, let's look at the work, and how we can make it the best for Minnesotans. I have a great record of being bipartisan because of this approach. For example, I worked on a cryptocurrency kiosk that was actually brought to me by the Woodbury Police Department. The other co-author was a Republican. I've been a co-author, I've authored a rapid whole genome sequencing bill that Republicans helped me get across the finish line. And the last one I'll mention is our food shelf funding. These are values that we can agree on, and that's how we can work together. And then the last thing I'll say is it takes personal initiative too, and so every year, because I'm a nerdy scientist, on March 14th, 3.14, is Pie Day at the House, and I bring pies for everybody to enjoy if in the House chamber to kind of celebrate Pie Day and to bring us together and remind us of what the work we're doing.
Thank you. Any additional comments?
No?
Then it's time for our closing statements. And we will begin with Amanda Henningsen Vieger. Sorry, Amanda.
We've been talking a lot. It's all good. Thank you. So I just want to say thank you again for hosting, and thank you for watching at home. We are at a time where thoughtful leadership is very important. I have a record of this leadership with how thoroughly I develop my bills, my ability to work across the aisle, and advocating for the people of South Maplewood and Woodbury. As a senator, I will continue to lead on the values important to our community, including access to affordable health care, caring for our seniors and veterans, protecting our environment, and looking out for our families. Again, I'm very honored to be in this role, and I look forward to earning your vote. If you'd like to check me out on social media, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. You can also check out my website, amandaformn.com, and I look forward to conversations ahead at the doors or wherever I can meet you, and would greatly appreciate earning your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Now with his closing comments are Dwight Durrell.
Well, thank you, Liz, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. It was a fun night tonight. I had a blast. I would like to say thank you to everybody for listening out there tonight who dialed in. I know it is a little strange that we don't have an audience here, but that's the way it goes. To learn more about some of my ideas, the questions tonight came at us very specifically, and there's a whole lot of other ideas out there that I'm sure my opponent has, and so do I. So I'd like you to look at mine and then make up your decision to go out and vote for Dwight. You can go to votefordwight.com to do that. You can start tomorrow. If you're in Woodbury, you can go to the new DMV and you can get your new license there. Or if you're in Maplewood, you can go to 90 West Plato Street. And then, of course, the election day is November 4th. So I want to restore Woodbury and Maplewood. I want to bring back statesmanship and bipartisanship to this world that we live in right now. Thank you so much and have a great night.
This concludes our forum for Senate District 47. Thank you, and remember to vote. Early voting is September 19th through November 3rd, and Election Day is November 4th. Thank you.